All right, so we're going to continue to take a little more of these long form, deeper dives into some of the assessments that we use at KPI. I want to give you guys like instant ways that you can understand some of the mechanical flaws that your players might be seeing, whether it's our softball players or our baseball players, hitters or pitchers, and then give you some, I guess, really tangible examples of, okay, hey, this physical screen, how does it actually affect the athlete on the field? So, Rachel, go ahead and go into a quadruped position. Quadruped means on all fours. They're going to sit back. We're doing spine today. Probably should have started with that. We're going to look at the spine. We have cervical spine, thoracic spine, lumbar spine. So 3 parts. We want most of our movement for our baseball and softball players to come from the thoracic spine when we're creating hip-shoulder separation. So the test itself, the reason they need to have their heels and their butt connected is this puts their lower back in a position that it's not going to be able to rotate very much. We're going to almost exclusively see from the thoracic spine. There are some more, I guess, specific tests that like a PT and ortho will use, and I have used those tests in the past. I like this test because it takes into account shoulder mobility too. We can kind of give a feel for, okay, yes, the spine and the shoulder are working together as we rotate. And so on all fours, she's going to have her hands, go and scoot back just a little bit on the table. And then put your hands further up. So you're going to have her hand about probably a foot, if not a foot and a half away. You're going to put your right hand on your right ear, and you're going to rotate open. So going this as far. So if we go back to the starting position, we draw a line straight up to the ceiling. That's 180 degrees. She's going to go and start. She's going to rotate, and she's going to see how far she can get. We have at the spine rotation and extension. Extension means going like this. Obviously, rotation is rotating. So we need not equal amounts, but we need enough of both to get into this really good stacked position where go and do one and rotate more up this way. This athlete is trying to get rotation. They can't get extension, and so they're not going to get into this good position, and so that's probably a limiting factor there. So think about as a hitter how this could affect if I need to maintain my posture as I'm going to swing, and I have the inability to rotate. All I can do is come up. That's going to mess with my ability to deliver the barrel to the ball. I think about it as a pitcher. If I'm going down the mound and I'm going and I have the ability, and I want to rotate, but I can't, I start to try and cheat and go into extension. That's obviously going to affect release point, accuracy, velocity, all that good stuff. So first test is what can they do on their own? This is active range of motion. They are actively doing it on their own. So go and do it one more time. She's going to get to, on her right side, 160, 70 degrees. So she's in a pretty good spot. We're not all the way. I think 170, 180 degrees is enough, but we're going to retest it. Go and do it one more time. All I'm going to do here is I'm going to help her and see if she can get further. Boom. We're getting pretty far, pretty good positioning here. She might not feel the greatest. She's probably cramping a little bit. If they cannot get into that optimal range on their own and it requires help from a coach, that means that we need more stability. We need more core stability. We need more body control. We don't need more flexibility and mobility work for this athlete. So we're going to choose warm-up exercises, drills, all those things are going to help provide more stability so they can get into a better position. It is really common. Go and do your left side. Go and go. You can see she gets to a pretty good position here. It's very common, this is the most common thing we see, is on their non-dominant side, their glove side, their front shoulder, to be limited. So go ahead and go one more time. So we're going to see limitation. We're going to see lack of rotation. They're going to go up into extension, or they're going to lack extension, and so they're going to kind of go up in this position here. Instead of staying stacked and rotated, you can still see she can get even further when I'm helping her. So majority of our softball players, majority of our female athletes, they need more core stability. They need more body control to be able to separate their hips and their shoulders, whether they're swinging, they're pitching. They need more stability. They have the range of motion, they don't have control over it. So program their workouts, their drills, all of those things accordingly. The most common one, again, that we see is more rotation, better range of motion to our non-dominant side because we're always rotating that way, whether we're a hitter or a pitcher. And so if we lack range of motion on our dominant side, go and do your right side one more time. Go ahead and coming up. So think about if I'm going to hit and I'm going to need to scap load, get into launch, whatever that load, whatever that first move is with my hands, and I can't do it with my torso and stay connected, I'm going to get disconnected with my hands. And you're going to see probably hands dropping, hands getting away from your body. You're basically going to cheat, and this is a consistent thing, cheat with your hands to use the momentum of the arms, because they have weight in the bat, to then get into positions that we want to. If we use momentum and we cheat, then it's going to have a ripple effect downstream. So again, if I can't separate, has my hips go forward, my torso stays back, and I use my hands, if I get into a poor position down here or get disconnected here, obviously we know all of the different compensations that are going to come from that. That's the most common. As the pitchers, so as a baseball player, if I'm going to load and I need to turn my torso, I need to stay closed as my hips are going down the mound to get my arm up on time and I can't, you're going to see a stab. You're going to see longer arm actions. You're going to see a very aggressive takeaway. I'm going to use momentum to try and get me into that separated position. And the problem that for our pitchers, if it happens too early, then our arm's going to be early, and we're probably going to get to that release point sooner. Our lower half isn't going to be in a position to send energy up to our arm. We're going to have inconsistent release points. If it happens early, it's going to affect our breaking pitches, right? My hand's going to be getting around the ball too early or too late. It's basically going to affect the ability to create spin and movement. And so, okay, that's most common. The second most common is the stab. We're going to stab, stab, stab. If we stab, we're trying to delay torso rotation. And if we use our arm to do that, our arm's going to be late. If our arm's late, that's going to be the arm side run. That's going to be flat sliders, like gyro spin sliders. That's going to be a lot of arm side run that you're going to struggle with getting back to the outside corner, getting to glove side. And so for our softball players, as they drive out, they need to turn their torso. And if they can't turn their torso, they're going to cheat with their arm. And you're going to see kind of that bent arm action. You're going to see basically, I'm going to turn, and because I can't separate my hips from my shoulders, I'm going to turn with my entire torso. And if I turn my entire torso, now I can't get all the way back to my release point and get back to that, connected position as I let go of the ball. And so T-spine range of motion for our softball pitchers is extremely crucial and really important. And so there's a ton of compensations that you're going to see for that athlete. Again, they don't typically lack the range of motion. They lack the strength to get into those positions. So again, most common. Second most common, we're going to see lack of range of motion to their dominance or their non-dominant side, which we would expect more range of motion there, right? Right-handed hitter, rotating to my left, I should gain range of motion that way. If I'm a right-handed hitter, you can sit on the edge of the table now since we're done for the demo. If I'm a right-handed hitter and I'm going to have my hips turn and I need that front shoulder basically to clear space for my barrel to work out out through the zone, control my direction, and I run into a roadblock, I'm going to run into a roadblock here. So I can just pull my hands across and then release the barrel, which we know that's going to be a really bad approach to try and hit the ball really hard and cover the entire field. The next one, again, if I can't rotate this direction, I'm going to yank with this, I'm going to yank with this, I'm going to fly open, which again, we know that's not going to lead to good outcomes when it comes to our hitters. And then I think one of the most common is I'm just going to straight up get jammed. And so I'm going to get here, I'm not going to be able in a strong position, I'm going to get jammed, I'm going to weak contact, poor bat speed. Bad acceleration, rotational acceleration behind us, our blast motion metric. So lack of rotation to our front side is really, really important for our hitters. And there's a lot of common issues that we see if we lack that range of motion. As a pitcher, if I'm going down the mound and I got my glove out front, I'm staying closed, I need to rotate to my glove side to clear space to deliver my arm. If I can't rotate to my glove side, I'm going to go here and I'm going to go here. We're going to yank our glove, we're going to yank our head, we're going to get all this momentum going the wrong direction away from the batter. Our arm slots are going to start rising. Our fastballs are going to get flat. Our breaking pitches are going to get flat. We're going to create a lot more stress at the shoulder, the bicep, and the elbow because we have this massive pull going this direction. So our arm is going to unwind really early. And so that unwinding of the arm early lights up the elbow, lights up the bicep. The athlete that lacks range of motion to their non-dominant side is likely going to start off with some bicep soreness and probably soreness at the back of the shoulder, rhomboids, back of the scap, because all those muscles are trying to prevent our arm from unwinding early, but the front side of our body is causing that to happen. So really, really common there. And then for our softball pitchers, as they're going out and they're getting into this position here, we need to, again, it's the same thing. We need to clear space and get this glove out of the way so that I can deliver my hand to the catcher and get rid of the pitch. And if I have to pull that glove, if I'm yanking it this way, it's going to cause a lot more rotation and my arm's going to get away from my body. I'm going to get disconnected. I'm going to probably have a lot of soreness at the top of my shoulder, upper trap. I'm going to get bicep, anterior shoulder soreness all through the front of the arm because the muscles that are trying to keep the ball in the socket are getting into this weak position, we're getting disconnected and coming around the ball. And obviously we know that's gonna affect our release point, it's gonna affect our ability to create spin. You're gonna see these pitchers probably throw a really good curveball, right? Because we're in this position where I can get around the ball and create that spin to make the ball go this way, but you're not gonna see them do a very good job as far as maybe screwballs getting inside to a right-handed hitter if they're a right-handed pitcher, all of those things. So spine range of motion, really like quick takeaways. Test-wise, on all fours, sit back to your butts on your heels, right hand on the ear, rotate as far as you can. We want to get to 170 to 180 degrees of rotation. If we don't rotate really well and we just go up and extend, well, we're likely somebody who needs to work on thoracic spine extension. If we can get there, then we're good, or we can get excessive. Those athletes need to get way stronger cores, way more control of their torso and their hips. If they can't get there and we help them, same thing, more stability, more strengthening, more control. If they can't get there, and it doesn't matter if you help them, yeah, then we need to attack mobility and flexibility. We need to go after range of motion, improve that range of motion, get them to a position where we're good, and then strengthen and control that range of motion. Again, knowing and working backwards from, hey, I see this with my hitters and my pitchers, and instead of just saying, okay, you're doing something wrong, fix it. Figure out, okay, hey, is this a physical limitation that we need to address, whether that limitation is literally limited range of motion or limited strength. Once you know those, address them in their prep for their workouts, for their drills, for their practices, their bullpens, their before BP, all of that. And then you see over time as those mechanical flaws will slowly start to clean up, or the coaching you give them becomes more receptive because my body's actually able to do those things. If you coach an athlete to do something their body's not capable of, in the moment, in the lesson, in the practice, in the low pressure environment, things will work. When the lights turn on, the pressure is on, there's an umpire, the game's on the line, the body will revert to the path of least resistance versus the path of optimal performance. And we need to make sure that the body's prepared to do those things. So another quick little assessment to take away and look at your hitters and pitchers a little differently.